First question is early childhood experiences and parental values. I guess my experiences of early childhood were mixed with a lot of I guess the experience was from an urban area because I grew up in an urban setting, and trying to look at just being a child. Grew up with a lot of like broken home, a lot of drinking by my dad, and the value system seemed to be just non-existent, as far as like parental. There were not a lot of good values. I mean, my dad taught me that if you steal it, make sure you eat it right away, because if you steal food, you need to get rid of the evidence. That was one of mine. Do you have any early childhood experiences that you remember from values? And
I think the values, like what you said at the beginning is correct, in that it was kind of confusing because I knew that my mom loved me, but yet her showing that was a bit hard because of just all the cycles of the alcohol that played a part in my life. And so it would be like one day would be good for us to go to school, the next day it was like no one cared. So the same with discipline. Some days it seemed like she was on top of the discipline with us, and then other days it seemed like, she just wasn't there. As far as the nurturing goes, again, it was like it was there on some days, and then on some days it wasn't. So, the parental values that I saw was pretty haphazard. It was pretty come and go. Based on a situation of whether there was drinking, whether there was, food in the house, whether, just who was there even in the house, whether my uncles are visiting and if they were drinking, or the situation that was a crisis. Then the values kind of all changed according to the situation or the circumstance also. So as a child, I often found it hard to understand exactly what was going on, and exactly like where the boundaries were and what was expected of me. And so I began to have to make some decisions in my life as a child that I came to understand, as far as school, that that I needed to go to school, regardless if my mom said it was okay to stay home or not. And so school was the major thing for me as a child, that I knew I needed to go to school. But again, that was me choosing that. I didn't feel a lot of pressure from my mom to go. In fact, a lot of my older brothers and sisters dropped out of school just because they didn't want to go anymore, and so my mom allowed them to drop out. So.
But also, you came from a reservation setting, mm-hmm. and I came from an urban setting, because my parents being from the same reservation, we both, I think all of our parents were boarding school, mm-hmm. and they lost the nurturing part of what it meant to be a child, because my mom was made to go to boarding school when she was a young girl, and when she first entered school, she had to go to boarding school and was taken away from her parents, and so that was really shocking. So it seemed like we're missing the nurturing part. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think it's very evident in the lives that you see even today, from the older parents to the younger ones. It's still there. There's a huge gap of the parenting, of the good parenting, of structure and of nurture and of consistency and of all of that. I think it's obvious once you come onto the reservation.